Well, I can't really say it was a good or bad first month for the Warriors. It was kind of in between. There were some really good moments and some really, really awful moments. And we've already talked a little bit about those awful moments. We'll talk a little bit more about them today. But let's focus on the good. I'm recording this right after the Warriors versus Pelicans game, the Monday of Thanksgiving week. And so that game was a blowout. Not much good to come out of that game. We'll talk about it just a tiny bit. But we're going to focus on, again, the first month of their season and the Warriors versus Rockets game, which had what people are calling an explosion from Klay Thompson, but we know as true Warriors fans that he can do so much more. So let's get into it. Number one, the first half of the season has seen MVP numbers from Mr. Stephen Curry, and we know what he's capable of already. He's won Finals MVP, kind of just, gone down the checklist, and he doesn't really have anything else to check off. And so for us, seeing those numbers, we love it, but we want to see wins more than that. Again, we love it for his own legacy, but a win would go a lot farther than scoring 50 points. And so when it came to that Warriors versus Rockets game on Sunday, apparently the Warriors had a team meeting right before the Knicks game just a few days prior. And based on just guessing or clues that they've been dropping, it sounds like they were talking a lot about Klay Thompson and how he needs to stop hunting for shots that he's never really taken before in his career. Now, in that Rockets game, you saw him towards the end pulling shots that we were like, if he misses that, it's like, oh my gosh, Klay, what are you doing? But he was feeling it. And that's where the balance is. Now, I've watched a lot of creators talk about Klay Thompson, but I want to focus on something that, if you've never heard of his name before, Kenny Beecham, his YouTube channel is Kenny For Real. He's really awesome. He's with like House of Highlights, but he's really awesome at just very calmly breaking down hoops. And he was breaking down the Warriors' rough start to the season, and he mentioned that Steph, Klay, and Draymond are all on this timeline. And lucky for us, we had Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Moses Moody all come in, and it looked like, oh my goodness, we're gonna like reshelf our second unit and just bring him in after Steph, Klay, and Dre retire, and it's gonna be amazing. But that's on a completely different timeline. And what we're seeing through this first half of the season, again, credits to Kenny Beecham for this idea, we're seeing that the two timeline thing doesn't actually work. Last year, Warriors fans might have thought that that's what we were doing, but that's not really. I mean, we didn't think Jordan Poole would go off like that. He didn't have the money secured. He was probably trying to secure it in one way or another. We had GP2, we had Otto Porter, and so this two timeline thing didn't really exist because we only had Jordan Poole really to worry about. Now, the first week of the season, we were like, okay, yeah, Kuminga, Moody, Poole, and Wiseman are all going to be amazing. And while we didn't really know what to expect, we thought they were going to be able to head up that second unit. And that is not at all what's happening. Not at all. Let's get into Klay Thompson. Again, there was a team meeting right before the Knicks game. The Knicks game went well with just sharing the ball as a team. The Rockets game, same exact thing, except that both games saw Klay kind of find his shot. But more importantly, I think it saw him find his role. I keep watching him bring the ball up, and while he might not have done that in years past, he kind of needs to just touch the ball a little bit more because, KD's not here, and that's fine. But what he needs to do is focus on being the Klay that he used to be mentally. And that Klay used to, not worry about anything on social media. Now Clay is, worried about what haters are saying, and then he'll try and shoot his way out of it, and that's not the best thing for him. I love Clay. I love the Warriors in general, but that's not what we needed. I'm very happy that that team meeting happened so that we could maybe get over that kind of stuff and just get over the whole Klay Thompson narrative, that Klay Thompson was ruining our season, because that's not true. The true point of emphasis for the Warriors that needs to be fixed has to be that second unit. The Pelicans game last night kind of proved that once again. And I know, poor Pelicans fans, I've been to away games and where Steph was almost sat for rest. It was actually right before he broke the 3-point record. And I was devastated that there was a chance that he was going to rest, because I was like, I paid all this money to see Steph, nobody else. And 2 times now this season alone, the Warriors have rested pretty much their entire starting unit versus the Pelicans on the road. So I'm sorry, Pelicans fans, but it's good to see what these young guys can do. And when winning is not as expected, players like Kuminga and Poole really go off. And while that's great and all, I don't really think we should pull anything that we saw in that Pelicans game and say, yep, this is going to carry over. Yep, this is going to carry over. The rotation needs to look like this. Starting 5 is already all set up. Steph, Clay, Dre, Wiggins, or I guess Wiggins at the 3, Dre, and then Looney. Okay, I don't think Looney is ever going to get pulled from that starting lineup. But then that second unit, okay, obviously Jordan Poole needs to be there. Dante needs to be there, Dante DiVincenzo. And then other than that, a night-to-night basis. Like, don't tell people that they're going to get minutes, because if you tell JaMychal Green, a veteran, that he's going to be getting minutes, he's going to expect it. And then I know he hasn't shown it yet, but his attitude and drive to win is going to lessen if you give him expectations and then completely dismiss them. So you got to be careful with that. I've already expressed my, wish that Anthony Lamb would keep up what he's doing. I think he just needs to, again, settle down. There was a week where he was really looking good. He kind of settled back down. He needs to rise to the occasion again. But again, he's not the problem. The problem is the ball handler situation of the second unit. Give the ball to Dante DiVincenzo more. What are we doing with Jordan Poole? I think Draymond said in an interview not too long ago that the problem is the coaching staff sees Jordan Poole like Stephen Curry so much that they want to carry over the play style, which is like, ball movement and finding Jordan Poole for a screen 3. And while that's great and all, that's not what the second unit can do. I don't know if that's what they need, but that they can't do that. Jordan Poole is not Steph. He needs the ball in his hand, and if we're gonna treat Jordan Poole like the shooter that he might be, we need to treat him like Clay. Off the ball, get a few shots up, and have Dante just run the second unit. Either way, I mean, Warriors are I think they said on the broadcast last night, they are a quarter of the way done with their away games. We are so happy about that. Right now, they're 1-9 on the road. And so, what can I say? They look great at home, and then they look like absolute garbage on the road. Let's see if they can pick it up. I know that towards Christmas time, they will start to have harder opponents. But right now, we should be in a little bit of a cushion to, again, use that team meeting to our advantage. Get Clay going, keep Steph going, and just let's get above 500, people. Let's get back in the playoff race. We know who these Warriors are. We're going to try and do these kinds of episodes after every game. So hop on the podcast and listen. I appreciate everybody who's here listening, all the interaction. And we'll talk to you next time. Until then, stay cool.